Hello, it's Mrs. Duncan, your online e-college English 102 instructor, and I wanted to go over the Unit 3 with you a little bit. You've survived 2 weeks so far. I know it was really, really busy that first week. It was busy for me too. But hopefully you've got everything that you need and you got through Unit 2. And I want us to take a look together at this unit. This is probably heavy content instruction, and you have to do a lot of reading and watching some videos. So this is the first one. I hope you've started with this one. This is when we actually start writing a paper, okay, and that's really important. We are a composition class. So you've read your story, Everyday Use, last week, and so now we've got to do several things. One is to participate in a discussion on there in everyday use, and we'll hopefully have time to take a look at that. There's a lot of questions there to stimulate discussion. You don't have to address all of them, but you want to do and add something and contribute something to the discussion that hasn't already been said. So I'm giving everybody a lot of options, and they're all there to kind of help stimulate your thought about how you would write the paper, which is a reflection essay. You need to read some information from chapter 13 on plot and conflict analysis, so we have start with that focus. There's videos about how to write essay 1 in particular. That's really important. It's a particular kind of essay, so you need to watch that. And about basic story conflicts, okay? Because you'll be having, now we don't have a quiz this week, but information that is in here, like on conflicts, will show up on a fiction test a little bit later. So you need to make sure that you are not skipping that just because there isn't a quiz per se. I'm giving you a little bit of break on the quiz because you've got an essay to write and a lot of reading to do. You also need to read through chapter 2 about writing about literature, and also have a handout about how to write a literature-based essay. It's going to be different from what you did in 101, and you need to make sure you understand that what you do that's the same as 101, and 5-paragraph essay and topic sentences and introductions and a thesis statement, but it's just going to look different when you write about literature, and you need to see what that's like. So I have a writing basics folder, some PowerPoints, some handout kind of files. If you felt like you just barely made it through 101 or this seems like a big leap, you might want to review those. And then finally at the end of the week you've got to submit a draft of essay 1. So you're going to have this week, don't wait till the last minute, hopefully you haven't, to process that, do some of the other things that help you get ready for it. The essay draft is has to be at least 500 words, okay? It has to follow the instructions, and I take a look at it and I grade it as an assignment, not as an essay. It's for me to check and make sure you're doing it right. I give you a lot of specific feedback on what's kind of going wrong. Now, I don't mark the paper up like I will for final essay, but I'll let you know if you're headed in the right direction, if you have some issues you need to address, if you're doing what I'm looking for. And that's really important feedback before the next week when you turn it in, and I grade it as it is, and it has to be completed, essay there. All right, so your readings here, let me just take a peek at those. I want to spend more time somewhere else. Okay, and this is the handout I was referring to, how to write a literature analysis essay. You want to take a look at that. That's mine. There's only 4 pages on plot and conflict analysis. That's very light. The heavier reading, but it's not that dense if you look at it, pages 17 to 34, and it's about writing about literature and covers some of those things. There's a little bit of overlap with the handout, but not a lot, so you want to do that. Now you'll notice down here I have background on African American quilts. That is to help you understand the significance of the quilt in the story and maybe add to your reflection, but it's not an assignment per se. It's just so you can understand what's going on and why the quilt is such an important symbol in the story, not just for Dee and Mrs. Johnson and for Maggie, but for the African American culture. Okay, coming on down here again. All right, so the videos which you're started with, good job, are here. Let's pull those up a little bit. I try to make these short and to the point, so you're not sitting there for an hour, watching or listening to something. I do recommend that you watch at least the first few minutes of this 5-paragraph essay video, just to make sure that we're on the same page and what I'm expecting. That magic of 3, it's intended to make it clear and simple for you that when you approach a 5-paragraph essay, you have to have 3 key points, and they have to be stated clearly in your topic sentences. So watch good 4 or 5 minutes of that, all of it if you need to get lots of examples. This is the one you need to watch the full, it's only 5 minutes, but how to write a reflection, because that's what your essay is. And I've got a website. If you feel like that's not enough information, you can click on there and there's more activities. You can practice doing some reflection. This one is a short one that covers plot conflicts. Okay, it's there to reinforce what you read in the book. And if you're still waiting on your book, please hurry up and get it. We do need it. It's to help supplement that. But and it will be on the fiction test. Like I said, there's not a unit quiz this week, but this material will be on a test. Okay, back to the next thing. So those are the little videos. Very, very important. Review them as often as you need to. Make sure you pay close attention and take some notes. I mean, it is a class. Take some notes on things. All right, the discussion board. So we'll take a quick look at that. This is our first literature-based learning from each other, preparing to write essays discussion. So we had it's very different from our introductory one, and your responses have to be more in depth. So notice it says select one. So it's like question 1, question 2, question 3, and there's sub points for you to develop this. Post an original thoughtful response. And I really recommend, especially when you get started, create a new thread. But if you're kind of late getting in, then you might want to respond to a thread. But you have to have something significant that you're adding to the conversation. So you have to read a little bit of what's already posted to make sure that whatever you post, either in a brand new thread or in a response, is not a duplication of what somebody has already posted. That's really important in how I grade it. Okay. After you post your original answers to the questions that you selected that are different from what's already been posted, then you need to actually respond because it is intended to be a discussion. Talk about this, make comments on and reflect, and again, not just, hey, good job or I agree. It needs to be a thoughtful contribution. So it's going to take a little bit of time. This is what's going to take more time this week. This and writing the draft. Okay, so prepare and make time for that. Okay, so I've got 7 options. That way there's really, you're not going to run into the problem of everybody's said everything. If that happens because you've started too late, let me see how I can get navigated back in once I've gotten to the discussion board. Okay, go back down. Weekly assignments. So again, get started as early as you can. Get a jump on it. Address the questions. You've read the story, so now it's just it's starting to asking you to reflect on some of the relationships and the dynamics that are a key part of that story. Hold on a second, we'll get back in. Almost done. Okay. The draft. All right, let me click on this. What is it that you're supposed to write? I've been mentioning a reflection. Say that's a type. So there's the link to the Dropbox. You can get into it through the blue, through essay assignments, but we try to make everything available to you here. Alright, it says to click on the folder for detailed instructions. Okay, you need to create a basic 3-point outline and submit the draft. Now, if we were doing this throughout the week and not a Sunday by Sunday, in class you'd probably submit a draft earlier in the week and I'd check it. But with the week by week, we really can't do that. But you need a plan. Planning is the key to a good essay. If you don't plan it well, then you don't have a good essay. So you need to plan before you write. Watch those videos, do your reflections, and then read this and then come up with those 3 ideas, the response to the 3 specific situations. Okay, is a good way to handle this, or the 3 main characters. Pick the 3 ways that you're going to organize this reflection, and then draft it. But decide ahead of time. Otherwise, it's just a rambly mess, and I won't be able to give you very good feedback, and you will have to basically start over, which we don't want you to do. So the outline is key. You're going to use MLA format. Okay, we kind of addressed that with the diagnostic. This time it's a full-length essay. Remember, the draft can be unfinished, like it has to be at least 500 words, but when you're done, it's going to have 5 paragraphs, 750 to 1,000 words based on our story, and this is about your personal connections, okay? Your response. This isn't what somebody said on SparkNotes or on the internet. This is your personal reflection, okay, to 3 specific situations in the story. So here's some prompts to help you. The three main characters, Mrs. Johnson, Maggie, and Dee. I mean, we know we have a fourth, but he doesn't really say or do much. So let's focus on the three main characters. They've experienced a variety of struggles, some external, and so I'll give you a list. Overall poverty. They had a house fire. Maggie was harmed physically. She was burned, scarred. There are also internal struggles. Feelings of inferiority, there's sibling rivalry, there's family conflict. Dee just wants to get away from there. They also differ in how they see or identify themselves, and that's where you want to think a little bit more deeply. So here's some questions to help ponder that. Are they victims of tragedies beyond their control? Or are they powerful, able to choose their own identities and destinies and, in a sense, overcome that challenge? And think about them on an individual level. Is that true? What's true for Mrs. Johnson? What's true for Maggie? What's true for Dee? Does the past define them? Or are they looking more towards the future? What does family and heritage mean as they each attempt to address these struggles they have to deal with? All right, certainly all these questions and more are represented or symbolized in the conflict over who's going to get the quilt, okay? But that's on the surface. These are deeper issues. And the struggles mentioned were not unique to the Johnson family, but were representative of the African American community in the 70s, who were creating a new identity post or after the civil rights movement. And that's key where Alice Walker's coming from and why she picked this story at this particular time. So here it is. After thinking about this in this way, what do these questions and struggles mean to you personally? Okay, you want to make that connection to the story, to yourself. It doesn't mean you had to have gone through a house fire or the same exact circumstances are fought over a quilt. Look at these bigger issues and make a connection that way. So when you write, select three specific situations. By that I mean struggles, these ideas of identity or defining or tragedies or powerful or victims. Connect to those in the story. Discuss how you can relate to each of them. Okay, so you talk about it in the story, and then you connect to it personally. Just make sure you include one direct quote from the story in each of those paragraphs. But begin the body paragraph with a topic sentence that would tell us which situation and maybe even imply or state your connection to it. Whether it's about an external struggle or an internal struggle or this idea of power or victimization, something like that, family and heritage, that identifies it. Don't start with your quote. Your quote should be underneath your topic sentence to kind of help us see where it exists in the story. There is something similar mentioned in your book. It's called a response paper. It's just another name for the same thing. There's the page numbers in our text, so you kind of see what it says there. But for the first draft, all I need to see is 500 words. That is usually at least 3 good paragraphs, and I can kind of see where you're going with it and what your thesis is, which should state your 3 specific situations. I would recommend you watch this writing a literary analysis essay, okay? Especially if you're going, wow, I've never written anything like this before, and it's going to help walk you through. We'll talk about adding the MLA citation next week, okay? And then just a reminder that there's a little video here if you've never submitted an assignment, but I think by now you have because you've done your diagnostic essay. But remember, I can't take them by email. They have to be in Blackboard unless there was a situation with Blackboard and you have to send me a screenshot, right? And then we have to go back. So that's a lot, but that's what I'm looking for. And those discussion questions are to help you think about that and talk to each other through the discussion board about the story and what's going on in this story, so that you understand, and then you're going to pick your own specific things that you're going to respond to in the draft. So not looking up a lot, not deep conflict analysis, that's just a starter, but that's what you got to do this week. I hope all goes well. Get in that discussion early, watch the videos and get your instruction early, and then do your best to give me something pretty solid for your draft so that you can progress on your way all the way through. If you want to shoot me an email and say these are the 3 points, I'm willing to do that. I didn't make it an assignment, but if you're wanting some feedback, but again, if it's after Friday, I won't see it in time, so make sure it's early in the week. All right, best wishes. I look forward to participating and viewing your discussion throughout the week and then looking at your draft early the following week.